Hello, my name is Jonathan Scatia. I am a researcher and evaluator with the Dawn Chorus Group. I also run a scientific synthesis company, PubTrawler, that uses artificial intelligence to cluster and recommend studies. Today I want to talk about our work collecting and synthesizing web-based data. There are measures everywhere. We are bombarded daily with messages and recommendations that draw upon our digital footprints. Could this information instead be used to tell us about community and organizational context? Yes. We first have to recognize that much of the data out there is qualitative, that is, text-based. Community-based researchers have traditionally relied on qualitative data to provide nuance and stories about people and settings that is otherwise washed out in survey or other quantitative data. Yet this data is difficult and unwieldy to analyze. My colleague Lynn expresses the common sentiment towards qualitative data analysis in this recent tweet. Most importantly, qualitative data may unfairly burden respondents. Funders at the New Jersey Health Initiatives recently articulated the equity gaps that may perpetuate in data deserts. This article can be found in the attached materials. A solution to this problem is the use of unobtrusive measures. This is not a new concept. In 1965, Eugene Webb and colleagues explored how artifacts, physical traces, observations, and documents could be used to investigate research questions. For the 21st century researcher, potential data sources abound. These include newspapers and blogs, records of official meetings, social media, photos and their metadata, maps, and other public records. For this presentation, we'll focus on the left-hand side with 3 examples. The Institute for Healthcare Improvement began collecting stories of COVID in April 2020. The purpose was to gather lived experience on how people dealt with and recovered from the pandemic. I used a natural language processing technique called sentiment analysis to extract the emotional content of the stories. I then plotted the overall emotion, positive or negative, expressed over time to see how these stories reflected changes in coping. We can see wild fluctuations in the early days, before the stories settled into a general malaise in mid to late 2020. We are hampered in 2021 with fewer stories, which is reflected in these wide swings. Twitter can also be a good data source to examine how political figures communicate with constituents. I looked at the tweets of a very prominent US representative, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. This figure shows both the phrases and words she used most often. Here is the same data plotted as a network. The size of the circle represents a more frequently occurring word. The thickness of the arrow represents a more frequently occurring word relationship. My last example concerned school board minutes. These are supposed to be the official record of debate and decisions concerning school district operations. This example comes from an ongoing project in California. This figure shows the different topics that the textual data clustered into. Topic 2 in particular seems to be about personnel decisions. And yet a word of caution is needed. Over-reliance on unobtrusive and web-scraped data threatens to remove community and participant voice from a study. In my work, I always include a grounded component to make sure that we honor participant lived experience and provide opportunities to reflect on the data. There are other research paradigms that can be used to guide web-based data collection, including open source intelligence, ethnography, and data journalism. In the spirit of methodological pluralism, I encourage you to seek them all out. For any additional questions or comments, you can reach me at either of these emails. Thanks so much.